Day 3. This series is pure beep gold. Keep uploading, bro. You're blowing up. Thank you so much, Chris. I will give that a heart. Need more videos, bro? I will give that a heart. I will make more videos. My boy Carson, because of you, I've signed 3 clients in a month. You absolute legend. Thank you so much, Joseph. That is amazing. Ahoy, Carson. Great content. Excited for the tools you are crafting. Yes, they will be out soon. Do you edit your videos yourself? Yes, I do. And it takes a while. Team meeting. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, awesome. All right. Let's get into our messages. This guy, Patrick, said how. Let's look at his profile. Patrick, he's co-owner of the ranking store. Sounds like he does Google My Business ranking. So we'll say our little spiel here, just copy and paste the same message over and over and over again. Let's go to LinkedIn, see if we have anything on here. We have some connection requests, head of development, sure, banking, sure. Great, for realtors and restaurants, you can do SMS outreach. I have clients in this space right now and they book 10 calls per day through this method. And for healthcare and law offices, you can do LinkedIn outreach and get a lot of interested prospects there. You can easily book 40 to 80 calls per month just by putting these 2 strategies together. Free to chat sometime this week. Maybe I'll send a Zoom link or a booking link right after. That's cool. Pretty good lead right there. Cool. So that's basically all the messages for today. We're going to start doing outreach again today and see if we can get any more people in the door here. Let's pick a random group. Boom. Members with things in common. Let's send the same Alex Hormozy message for the 3rd day in a row. Do you know anyone blank? 50, let's do 70 today. Cool, that's running and working. Now I got to do some sales calls. If you do not have any qualified calls coming in within the first 30 days, have a pretty light day today. I got to pass most of the main stuff. But in this in-between time, I want to talk about books. At one point, I was reading a book every day, and I just want to explain the story of how I got to where I am through books. And Walton Made in America, this is actually what Jeff Bezos read to inspire him to create Amazon. This is the guy that made Walmart. And it's a really good book. It's kind of his autobiography. Is that what it's called? 0 to 1, it was okay. Hacking Growth, cool. Millionaire Mind, this is okay. I think it's kind of outdated in terms of, we just live in a new economy, but it's kind of based on the guy that wrote The Millionaire Next Door. I don't know how I got 2 copies, but I have 2. I actually read a lot of audiobooks. I actually haven't even read a lot of these books. I think out of all these books that I have right here, I've probably actually read 2 of them. And the rest of them were audiobooks. So when I was 17, just about to turn 18, I was working with this real estate agent, and I had a path. Basically, he was going to pay for my real estate school, and I was going to become a real estate agent and all this stuff, and be successful in the real estate space. But honestly, I just didn't want to go down that path. I don't know. I just felt like it was a lot to handle at one time. So I basically quit my job, and I actually recorded myself trying to quit my job, and I decided to start my own thing. I tried to do a YouTube channel. I tried to start a business around making videos or helping people make videos. It was just a ton of weird stuff that I just tried. And while I was 17, right before I turned 18, when I turned 18, I really didn't know what to do. I was supposed to, become an adult and get a job. And because I didn't know what to do, I watched a lot of YouTube videos on what I should do. Should I start a business? Should I do this? Should I do that? I had analysis paralysis. I could not think of what I wanted to do. It was super hard. I'd watch all these videos, and a lot of them said, for me, my thought process, I never read any books in high school. I just read the Cliff Notes, what's that one, To Kill a Mockingbird, whatever. I just read the Cliff Notes. I watched a video about what it was about, and that's all I did. I never actually read books, and I always thought they were just a waste of time. And I would always watch these videos because I'm like, well, how about I just watch a 20-minute video and get everything that I would get out of a book, And so I would never read books. But then I was getting desperate, right? I was just kind of doing nothing all day. Someone said, if I were you, I'd read these 3 books or these 4 books. And so one of them was The Intelligent Investor, one of them was How to Win Friends and Influence People, and then some other random ones. So I read How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it was the most life-changing book that I've ever read. I've read it multiple times since then. It was the first book I read. It's probably one of my favorite books that I've ever read. How to Win Friends and Influence People is, some people have mixed reviews of it, but for me, it was this is how you kind of treat people and how you actually, not get what you want, but how do we make it a win-win scenario for everybody? And it's really just about how do we be human, how to understand somebody else's perspective. And so that book really helped me out a lot. And from there, I read that entire book in one day, and I was like, this was amazing. This is such a good book. Why don't I read more books? And so then I listened to another audiobook, and then I listened to another audiobook. So every single day I would just wake up, do chores around the house for my mom, and then just read books while I was doing the chores, or just listen to books while I was doing chores. So every day I was reading a new book and learning about it. I remember I read a ton of books. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. I think there was one called 99 Ways to Talk to People. I don't know, just books every single day. And a lot of them I probably forget. I took notes on all the books, so I have like hundreds of notes. I guess a pretty big learning experience during that time. Now, I would say that I didn't really get anywhere by reading books like in the beginning, because I wasn't applying it at all. I was just basically reading it, and then just now I have this knowledge. Now, the Bible says the best thing to do is to get wisdom, and the beginning of wisdom, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the best thing you can do is to get wisdom. And to get wisdom, all you have to do is go get wisdom. And that wisdom is constantly searching for you, and you just have to search for it, and it'll find you. And so if you just go out and look for an answer, it'll find you eventually, If the best thing to do is get wisdom, then I would that was my motto. It's like, okay, if the best thing to do is get wisdom, then I'll just go get more wisdom. And the Bible also says, it's actually in Proverbs. That's probably my favorite book, right? So you have the Bible, and my favorite book in the Bible is Proverbs. It's in the middle of the Bible. It's this little small book. It's got, I think, 20-something chapters. It's actually pretty. You can read it within like an hour on, if you download the Bible app, you can read it for free for like an hour. And it's written by the wisest man that ever lived, Solomon. And he was the son of King David, right? Remember, David and Goliath. King David had a son, Solomon. Solomon asked God for wisdom, and God gave him wisdom and understanding, exceeding much and largest of heart, and basically made him the richest man that ever lived and the wisest man that ever lived. Solomon writes down his wisdom in Proverbs, and there's a lot of stuff in here, like just you get so much more just out of this one book. Like you get a lot more out of that hour-long, reading than you will out of all these books combined, honestly. Anyways, I just kept reading. I did it for like a couple hundred days. I just sat and read. I didn't really do anything. And then I eventually had to get a job, so I got a job at Apple. After I got a job at Apple, I got another job at Spectrum. And then as soon as I got the job at Spectrum, the COVID hit, and it was 2022, like March. And then I was like, well, I should start a business now that I have all this knowledge. So I hired a coach, and then I tried to start a business. I didn't really know what I was doing. And I just kind of reached out to people, asking them random questions like, hey, do you want this? Hey, do you want that? And then I got my first client, and it turned into really me as an employee, which was actually this guy, my soccer mentor. And I worked for this guy. I actually still do some work for him. I actually have a video shoot I need to do with him on August 1st. But basically, I was helping this company do their like Instagram outreach, their Facebook ads, and stuff like that. And then from there, I was like, well, I want to start my own business. So I left that, and I started my own agency. And then I tried to get a whole bunch of clients. I had a really hard time getting clients, and I was only getting about 2 to 3 sales calls a week. And I documented my entire journey over the course of the year. So if you didn't watch that was 2021. Every month for the year, a couple times a month, I would make a video saying like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing every day. This is how it's working. This is, what's going good, what's going bad. And in February, I made a video saying, I don't know if I'll be able to keep going, because I was like 2 months in and I wasn't getting like any clients. I was getting a couple sales calls, but no clients were coming in. And I didn't really know what to do. And I was in California at the time, and I was like, if I go home and I still don't have any clients, then I probably will just have to go get a job, because I don't know how to keep this going. Like I can't just not make money and just sit around and waste money on trying to get clients and it not work for me. So that was a problem that I was having. So then I just tried to study as much as I could. How do I get more calls? How do I get more sales calls? Because my bottleneck is I just need more calls every day, and if I get more calls, then I can get more clients, and if I get more clients, then I have plenty of stuff to do every day. So the whole goal was, how do I just get more calls? How do I get more calls? So I looked up all these different strategies, try to figure out what to do, and then I came up with new strategies on my own. And then one video I was saying, I don't know if I'll be able to keep going. I was getting 2 to 3 sales calls a week. The very next video, I was getting 10 sales calls per day. And I was like closing people left and right. I came home, I was getting 10 sales calls a day. I didn't have time to eat. I was getting so many sales calls. And it was kind of frustrating because I didn't have time to eat. And I was just so busy. And it was really awesome that I found a way to just get a massive amount of sales calls. But then from there, I couldn't figure out how to fulfill for the clients and get them actual deals. And like, I was basically helping solar companies and roofing companies. I didn't really know how to do the ads for solar and roofing companies. So they would churn, like they would stay for me 1 month and leave the next month and stay for me. Like I'd get a new client, stay and then leave. Then I was like, I don't want to keep doing this because I feel bad that I'm taking on these clients, wasting their money, and then, not getting any results for them. So they're just, it doesn't make sense for us to keep going. So then I basically stopped that process and I moved over into just trying to figure out what the next thing was. And so I just kind of took a sabbatical, didn't really do anything. And then from there, I saw someone post on Facebook saying, hey, does anyone need help getting appointments? And I was thinking to myself, well, that's really easy because I was able to get myself 10 calls per day. And if I just help other people get appointments, I didn't even know that was a business, right? I didn't even know that was something that people offered. But if I was like, if I can help someone else get 10 sales calls per day, then why don't I just do it for them, and then they can sell them and they can, make money off of, doing the ads for them and everything. And so they're happy because they're good at what they do. I'll just get them the sales calls and then they do the fulfillment. So I was like, that's actually a pretty good business model. So then I basically literally just copied and pasted his post of, does anyone need help getting appointments? I just copied and pasted it into the same Facebook group, and I got my first couple clients from there. And it's been that ever since, basically just been helping other agencies get more appointments, using the methods that I learned when I was starting my own agency and had a really hard time getting appointments. That's my whole story. That's everything that happened over the past year and a half. And back to books, what I think is they're really good in terms of if you're actually taking action. So if you're not taking action, then they really don't help you at all. You'll get wisdom and everything, but they just won't apply to anything, right? So if I can learn about sailing, but it's like if I never step on a boat, what is it good for me to learn about sailing, And so if I actually take action, you learn so much more by just actually doing it than thinking about doing it or reading a book about it. And so I would combine doing the action and also reading the books so that you kind of put these two things together. So for me, I had analysis paralysis, which is like you can't make a decision. You're just like looking at all your different options. And the thing about it is like I had so many people telling me, or like all these people, these gurus and everyone saying like you have to find one thing, you have to stick to it, you have to be the best at that one thing. And it was hard for me to make a decision because I was like, well, if I don't want to stick to it for the rest of my life, do I make a mistake? Like if I go down the path of making videos, right? If I go down that path, what if I regret it? Like, do I have to stick to that for the rest of my life? And so it was like, what if I want to do this? What if I want to do that? And so I never could make a decision because I thought, well, this is the one decision that I will make, and then I can't change it from here. And so that's why it was really hard for me to make a decision. But then I just thought of it like this. I read a book called 0 to 1 million in 12 months. And I was like, these companies that were, starting their business, and then they, did these certain strategies, and then they were able to grow to $1 million. And for me, I was like, well, what the heck? Why don't I just try it for a year? See if it works. And if it doesn't work, then that was just a year of my life and I can move on to the next thing. And so I'm young. I don't have really any responsibilities. Why don't I just try it for a year? If it doesn't work, we'll move on. Great. So I tried it for a year. That's what I did. It helped. That decision made it really easy for me because it's no longer about my life. It's more about, let's just try it for a year. Now, when I think about it now, I would always think long term. And like if I were you, I would think 5-10 years ahead and think about what's the goal for long term. And that's what I do now. But back then it was just I couldn't make a decision to begin with. So it was like, is it better just to make a short-term decision than not make any decision? You have three options. One is to make the wrong decision. One is to make the right decision. And one is to make no decision at all. It's actually worse for you just to make no decision at all. So you might as well make a decision. So I used that and I applied that. And I was like, well, let me just try something for a year and go from there. And so when I actually started putting in work and actually taking action and not just looking at my options, and I actually did something, then that's when things started, moving up for me. So even though 2021 was really, really hard, it was a lot of ups and downs, just trying to figure everything out. I had to go through that to get to here. So, and it's still hard. It's still a lot of figuring out. Like, no one really knows what they're doing. They're just building a plane as it's falling to the ground. So that's basically where I am now, which is cool. When it comes to books, I recommend How to Win Friends and Influence People. I recommend reading Proverbs and the Bible. I probably would read this first, Proverbs, then read How to Win Friends and Influence People, then read whatever topic that you want to read. So like basically if I read a lot of Jay Abraham and Dan Kennedy, which are direct response copywriters. And that's what I do is direct response. So trying to get people to respond directly to my message. And they, help me out in terms of figuring out ideas for myself, for my own clients and like for my own business. And so let's just say you do cybersecurity, then I would read books about cybersecurity, just trying to improve your craft and be better for yourself and for your client. If you read 3 books in any subject, and let's say you go to college and it's around that subject, you'll be smarter than 89% of the people that are in that room. Because you've already, like in 3 books, you get so much knowledge. Because if you think about it, you have someone's whole life distilled down to this book, right? For example, Proverbs, right? This guy's whole life distilled down into like 30 chapters. The wisest man in the world. This is all the wisdom I have. And he put it in a couple chapters for us. All these people that are experts on one specific thing, really good at being a leader or starting up companies or getting past like sales or whatever. All these people are experts in that one thing. And you can learn literally their entire life within a couple of hours. And it's kind of crazy. And so the value is so great, right? Anyways, take action, read books. I think we're done for the day.